you, if you've been in this class at all, you've gotten to taste what minds throughout millennia have considered about their experience of being. It is a phenomenal ride, but it's challenging for the Western perspective because we are so damn sure that our prejudiced view of the world is correct, like the last generation was, and the last generation was, and the last generation was, and all the people before us, and all the people after us. But in there, in that knowing about what the world is or is not, what our place in it is or is not, there is information, there are access points for us to have an experience of this thing we call consciousness, life, existence, that is sublime, that is beyond ups and downs, that is separate from suffering. And that's the point of these courses. Now we're learning them in a specific language, we're learning them with specific rituals, that weird things. It's just to trigger us to say, okay, this got culturalized this way because, but don't get lost in the words or the ritual. It is for you, for your consciousness, for your mind to consider that there is another way to experience this thing called existence. And if considered in a different way, you will get a different result to the result you would get otherwise. The result you would get by doing the normal Western life, which is pretty sweet. You're born somewhere nice, you get given food, you get to play with iPhones and iPads before you're 3 nowadays, right? You get a nice home, you get the American dream, you go to university, you have babies, you have a career, you find someone you love. In between now and then, you'll probably have a heartbreak about 26 times or 30. You might get a dog, you might not. And those things will come and go, and then you're gone. And what is it for, and what will happen after? And those questions are worth checking out, not in a religious point of view, but in a real sense. And this philosophy says there are things you can do to your mind that can experience all those things. It doesn't mean you get rid of those things. You can experience all those things in a kind of bliss that is not up and down, broken. That it doesn't like, oh, you're disappointed because the career broke up. You're disappointed because the girlfriend left. You're disappointed because the dog peed on your leg or whatever. Yeah. So I want to remind us that that's why we're here, and I want to remind us specifically because it's the second last class. Next class, it's the finale of ACI 16, and then we've got 2 more courses at the new location when we move to 5 East 3rd Street, which is on January 1. This place will shut down. I know, this place will shut down the last week of this year.
The 24th to the 31st.
24th to the 31st. We need a bunch of volunteers to come and help us pack this stuff, give some things away or auction them off or whatever. This place gets cleaned. The essentials go to the new location, and we continue this rhythm of investigating reality in an Eastern way at the new location, which is sick, awesome, and nowhere near finished. So we begin these classes by creating a perfect universe in our mind. So our mind has an imprint, an idea of what a perfect universe would be like. And that means so there's this ritual around it, that all you're supposed to think is, if perfection existed for beings, what would that be? What would a being in a perfect state be like? And that's all you've got to imagine, because that imagining will create an imprint in your mind, and that must have an effect. Yeah? Stephen.
Sashe
Bhuvir metotram viraling shinyandayam padi Sange shindu mitevarhi Dhirobhun namda shinva juparsho Idam Guru Ratnamandala Kandirayatayami
Sangye
Chidan Zoki Choknam Va Janchu Bardu Dakni Gapsuchi Daki Chenyengi Pesonanki Drola Venchir Sange Druparsho
Sangye
Shudam Soki Choknam Va Janchu Bardu Dakni Gapsuchi Daki Chenyengi Pesonanki Drola Venchir Sange Druparsho
Sangye
Shudam Soki Choknam La Janchu Bardu Dakni Gapsuchi Daki Chenyengi Pesonanki Drola Venchir Sange Druparsho. So we're up to, is that working? We've done Asian Classics Institute 1, 2, 3, and 4. We just finished 4. You're about to do a review. They give me the essence of the first course. Just give me the essence of the essence, those who have studied the first 2 classes. 3 principal paths. Good, because it's up there.
Yes.
Clever girl. Explain it in layman's term. What are these 3 principal paths? Why do we even say, oh, if you're going to do anything, do these 3 principal paths?
The path of renunciation.
But why?
Because they'll lead you to emptiness in the end.
They'll lead you to
Correct view and thought.
correct view is one of the paths. Emptiness is one of the paths. So nice to see.
Renunciation.
So let's give the 3 paths, right? The 3 big ideas. The first one is renunciation.
Bodhicitta.
Which the second one is bodhicitta, the third one is correct view. But what are these things and what are they going to do to you? When I came in, Paul said, oh, they do things to your mind. That's what he said. Yeah, doing activities do things to your mind. What do these 3 things do to your mind?
Being fed up with the cyclic life of birth, death, old age, sickness, and starting all over again. And so renunciation is wanting to give that up.
Great. So renunciation is this fuel, this energy to stop cycles of suffering from little habits to, if you're in Eastern philosophy and you believe in past and future lives, which is an idea we talked about last week, and it's essential to consider, then you can give that cycle, that uncontrolled cycle of coming and going without control. Oh, I'm happy, I'm not. Oh, here's the girlfriend, she's perfect, she's a bitch. Oh, great, I love this food, I'm allergic. Yeah. It's like all these things that we think we have control and then we don't. Renunciation is being fed up that breaking cycle has a cause and I don't want that anymore. Understanding that I don't want that anymore. Then bodhicitta. So we got to train our mind to have that fed upness because that's the fuel to get us out of the cycle. Otherwise, we're just content. I would hate to do this to you, but if I offered every one of you $3 million and anywhere in the world to live, who would think, oh, now I'm okay? You know, you're not. You're scared. So no, I would too. Yeah, I would too, right? But it's a trick. You're not okay. No $3 million is going to stop the cancer. Not $3 million is going to stop your parents dying. No $3 million is going to stop the heartache. Plenty of people with $3 million with suffering. Money ain't stopping it. But we believe it is. Oh, but if I just have the right house with the right facing window that's got the sun, yeah. So it's beyond the worldly acquisition of stuff. Renunciation is these things like, oh my goodness, look at the hordes of humans who have tried all these things just in the life that I've seen, And the same for the 50s, and the same in the 20s, and the same in the 1800s, and the same. They've just tried all these different things, and they're still looking. Now we're just looking in devices, which I don't know where mine went. Now I've got anxiety. That's renunciation, right? Like saying no more. Hi, welcome. No, you're good. You might get cushions over there if you're lucky. Chairs. Are there cushions over there?
There's some bolsters.
Okay, great. So that's renunciation, and it's a state of mind you want to develop. Not because Buddha said, not because I said, but because you see that the regular way of pursuing life ain't gonna get you that happiness ultimately. And that's yucky to understand. The older we get, the more we understand it. It's sort of too late. No, seriously, I was thinking about it today. In the new space, we're going to have a bunch of you teach ACI. Some of the people that have been in the groups that have been helping the 3 jewels grow, and you're in your 20s. And I didn't start teaching this stuff until in my mid-40s. And so I'm imagining the power of that activity on your minds. You get an extra 20 years of virtue of trying to understand the way life works and sharing it with other people so they really get it, not doctrinizing, not Buddhisifying, if that's a word, but really investigating with honesty, with absolute honesty, what is this precious thing called life? And can I direct it beyond my iPhone and my Instagram account? Because that ain't getting us ultimately happy. It'll get you some buzz. It'll get you a little mini mental orgasm. And the more likes you get, and then they'll go, and then you'll want more, and then they'll go, and then you'll want more. But this stuff does something to your consciousness, which you own and you direct. And it's precious. So I was thinking about it today, and I'm thinking how precious it is that a bunch of you are going to get to do that in the new space at that age, in your 20s. Some of you are nearing 30, so you're a little screwed. That's you. Yeah. So renunciation is it's a first fundamental idea. You say there's got to be another way, and you take refuge and you say, let's investigate it. I don't want to give up that question that I had as a child, which is why? Why did that happen, and what? And continue that thing. It's worth it, believe me. Then you've got the second state of mind you want to develop is bodhicitta, this weird word, which just means renunciation directed to every other person on the planet, not just you. Kind of personal responsibility that as you see people around you looking for happiness and tripping, you get a sense of responsibility to help them realize ultimately how to get happy. You'll do whatever it takes to get people happy. And then the third state of mind you develop is that of correct view. Correct view sounds weird in the Western world because it's like, that's correct and that's incorrect. And that's impolitically correct. No, politically incorrect. Is that right? Yeah. Impolitically correct is not. It's politically incorrect to say that's right and that's wrong. But imagine that we understood cause and effect perfectly. Imagine you understood why cause and effect perfectly happen, not sometimes happen. In other words, when you get a partner and you feel happy, do you think it happens because you met that partner? And if you do, you're going to try and keep getting those partners until they break your heart. And then you're going to have that. It wasn't that. It was something else. Those 3 years were a lie. So I've got to figure out another way. It wasn't correct cause and effect. That wasn't the cause. Because if it was the cause, being around that partner must make me happy all the time. It's hard, right, to think about it. That we're quite happy to go and try the next one and the next one and the next one. Today, before coming here, I'm like, I should get something for our cold. So I went to Walgreens, and there was a line of stuff that I could get, all of it to fix this thing. And I had my ginger lemon tea, and then I had drugs galore. And I thought, well, all of it works, and none of it works. Ultimately, the thing that makes it work is this idea of correct view. If I have the right causes in me, then in engagement with any one of these things, all the tea is going to fix it. My mum used to say that If you have a cold and you go to the doctor, it'll be fixed in 7 days. But if you don't go to the doctor, it'll be fixed in a week. Holy moly. So anyway, so these three ideas are fundamental to develop in our minds. Do I understand the nature of reality and what causes things? And that takes effort. Today we'll talk about the causality. Do I want freedom from suffering in this life, and do I also want it for everyone else? Can I develop those states of mind? Are they possible? And the answer is yes. And those will have a result in your mind. And that result is nirvana, enlightenment, freedom from suffering. It's not like you go and float in a cloud and all of a sudden you're, I don't know, a big fat Buddha or something. It's not like that. The consciousness that you have perceives the reality around you equal to the imprints in your mind that you've caused. And it is a blissful experience forever with interaction with everyone.
You're not perceiving other people's suffering?
You are, but not in the way that you used to perceive it before.
Okay.
And you are not suffering any longer. And you understand perfectly how to stop suffering. And if you see, for example, a little kid that scrapes his knee and he's crying because he's going to die, and you know they're not going to die, right?
Yeah.
It's that kind of sense of this suffering can stop. And what you're doing, kid, by jumping in the rocks is actually what's causing you to hurt.
Right.
And I'm going to try and teach you, but you've got to listen. I can't do it for you.
Right. Okay.
It's that kind of thing. So then that leads us to the second course, which is Buddhist refuge, which is the idea of that there are many things that protect us from suffering, and not many of them are permanent. Lots of them are temporary. So if you're sick, you go to the Isle of Drugs, and some of those things will get you temporarily okay, but then you'll get sick again. If someone steals from you, you'll go to you go to Santa. It's just walk in. If you're sick, you go to the doctor, and sometimes they help you, and sometimes they don't. If someone steals from you, you go to a lawyer and the police, and sometimes they help you, and sometimes they don't. And the fact that sometimes is in there means it doesn't always happen, which means it's not the cause of the result. And so to understand that, to understand really what causes the freedom from suffering, that's refuge, and that's linked with correct view. And then we say, okay, that is heavy ideas, those are heavy ideas, so you better learn to meditate, because you ain't going to be able to have those ideas enacted in your everyday world without retreating from the everyday world a little bit, i.e. 30 minutes to an hour a day, sitting down in meditation. Everything else goes away. All your problems out the door. They'll be there, believe me, the minute you get off the cushion. They'll be there maybe sometimes on the cushion if you can't help yourself. But give yourself the space daily to say, for this time, that world of turmoil, the world that I'm normally in and I'm forced to react quickly at, let's put that out there, and let's investigate with a clear mind, with logic and reasoning, these ideas that say, why do I want to stop suffering? Why should I care for everyone else? What are the real causes of suffering and the freedom from suffering? And why does that work? What's the correct view to that? And you can put that into practice in meditation. And it's basically just running through a refabrication of reality, a new model in your mind. Every meditation is creating a new model in your mind. But when you get off the cushion, you're going to forget about it immediately. But if you do it enough, you might carry it for 10 minutes. Or in the middle of an argument with your boss, the idea will pop up, and instead of yelling at them, you'll do something else because you remembered what you did on the cushion. And there begins your personal change and your personal transformation. It's not Buddha, it's not the teacher, it's you investigating, chewing these ideas, different to the ideas that we are living in. If the boss yells at you, we should say, punch him in the face, or yell back, or talk behind his back, or anything to get rid of the yelling, angry boss. According to the correct view, that's not the cause to stop it. So investigating it in meditation is essential. Yeah, we're good with that. That's so far what we've learned. And then a tenet of the last, it's a little loud, I apologize. Then we looked, to me, this was fundamentally mind-shattering, and it took me many years to actually begin to investigate the real idea of what past and future lives mean. Yeah, and it's not the silly Western idea that your soul goes floating and goes into a dog's butt. Yeah, and then you're a puppy dog. It's not that silly idea, which is somehow we think there's a world out there, and I go floating off to that corner of this world, and there I am. It's not that. It's inverse. Your consciousness is the projection of your universe, and every time it changes, your world changes. On my way here, I was really sick. Like, I was so sick, I was dizzy. You had to hold on, not falling over at the train station. And I was thinking, this must be what it feels like to die, to actually not have control of your body and watch your mind go in all sorts of weird directions and, ideas about what is happening around you, and then start coming up with scenarios of what's going to happen next. And it was a completely different state of mind that I could say was a week ago, where I was just at the train station. I was just getting on the train and doing the next thing and the next thing. When your mind goes through a dying process, it moves on to another idea, another sense, and then another, and then another. And according to this philosophy, that never stops. It had no beginning, it has no end, and causality, as we know it, cause and effect, which we believe in the West, isn't just restricted to physical matter. The big idea here is that cause and effect is inclusive of your consciousness, your moments of mind, your happinesses and unhappiness. They didn't pop out of nowhere. They were not caused. According to Buddhism, and we learned it in there, there's no creator God who said, you're a bitch and I'm going to make you hurt today, but you're so nice, I'm going to make you feel happy on the same day. Because, I don't know, you did this nicer and you didn't, or vice versa. It's not mommy and daddy that force you to have that reaction in the moment. Your mind moving in a certain way. It's not mommy and daddy. It's not a creator being. It's not Buddha forcing your mind. You force your mind through cause and effect. The stuff you put in your mind generates the causes for the experiences you have in your mind. Radical idea for me as a Westerner, because I thought cause and effect was out there and I'm just a numb participant of this universe. And then when Buddhism said, hold on, everything in your mind is caused. So if you put good things in there, you will be forced to experience good things out there. And I understood that and I believed that only after 6 or something years of practice. It took me that long to actually consider it, and it made sense after considering it for that long to get rid of the Western prejudice that says somehow you're uncaused, you're a random event, your consciousness is just whatever it is, or it's just conditioning. Yeah, it's not just conditioning. Mums and dads wants us to be a certain way and we're not. Yeah, if you've got parents, you know that. If you are parents, you know that. So then we get to causality. So that's the idea of past and future lives. And then we got to prove that cause and effect of the mind is just like any other cause and effect. The moment of your mind right now, its state is dependent on the previous state of your mind, the stuff you put in there before, and before, and you take that back to the first instance of consciousness in the womb. That mind, and the arguments are, did it come from the brain? Did it come from the sperm and egg? Did it come from chemicals? Did it come from mom and dad? And the debates were, no. It must have come from a previous moment of itself, of consciousness, just like it does now. So there was something before that first awareness in the womb. And it didn't come from mom and dad because they didn't lose their mind. And it didn't get shrank by a little fairy. And it wasn't uncaused. There was something in that consciousness that brought it to be. And that's a huge idea. And you have to chew that and you have to break that and you have to think about it. Yeah. And today we get to talk about karma, the law of cause and effect, which is Shinto Kokyo. Do you remember what that was? This Nungyo Kokyo and Shinto Kokyo. 3 ways of understanding reality. Nungyo is obvious and direct reality. So this is here, you see it visually, it's a wall or a color. That's obvious. I direct here. Yeah. Now, Kokyo is hidden reality. you assume that because that must continue, it's over there and over there, but you can't see the wall behind me directly. You assume there must be bricks there. You don't even think about it. Logic just did it like that for you. And you're probably right, otherwise the ceiling would fall, right? So that's cohere, it's hidden reality. Emptiness, the ultimate way that things exist, is in that category of cohere, hidden reality. Hidden meaning you use logic to understand it, and it works. With logic, you know that there's a wall there, and there is a wall. Look, confirm. Yeah. With logic, you know that the street you left before, out there, 4th Avenue, is still there, even though you're here. Right? Yeah, is it? Yeah, with logic. And so you can go back and step out there. With logic, it's hidden to you. It's not, you can't see it now, but it's there. So the same with emptiness. And then Shinto cohere, very hidden reality. This is way harder to understand. And the laws of karma, the laws of cause and effect, are fundamental to these ideas, and they are hidden, very hidden. We'll get to talk about the three areas where we got the ideas of karma to explain it in a Western world, from the Abhidharma Kosha, from the Majjhimika and the Mind-Only school, for those of you who have been studying for a while, and then from the Lamrim. So those 4 main areas we got the teachings on karma. One is just basic karma. The other one is just basic karma, like laws of karma. Second is more exactly how it works. Why does this cause that? And the last one is correlations. Like if you do this, then that will happen. If you do that, that will happen. We've got to understand that, and that takes study. So today we get to review what you did last week, and that'll give you 15 minutes to do that. And the way we do that here is so you can get to know each other. We'll create 5 groups. Paul has a group over here, which is the argumentative group. Hannibal, you get the far right-hand corner from my perspective. Rachel, you get the middle corner. Who gets that corner? There you go. Erin gets that corner, and Sarah and Richard get this corner. Yeah? So go to the people you really like. No, go to the people that are closest to you, and we'll have those 5 corners. I'll see you in 15 minutes. This reviews what we covered yesterday, which is also up on the board. She's got 2. Yeah, introduce yourselves. Make sure your names are on the paper.
The last of the forward
All I need is there's a
The towels. Yeah.
It's higher than ground. What is the difference
Right.
There's great, and then there's holy great, and then like
So it's great.
That would
Bodhicitta.
So what, it says on the board, and then I'm remembering this now that we're talking about it, so that and then when he's not just right straight, taking personal responsibility.
So holy great.
Yeah, the last one.
So you have not compassion. But it's great.
I wish for rolling my
In that way, bring about change.
I think that's just a wish. Just like I
No, great compassion needs your compassion. Every single one. You could have.
It's more of like,
Only you.
I don't think one at all.
Yeah, like, so go here.
It's like
everybody is
not just.
For which, Paul? Sorry, which one did you say that?
Compassion and great compassion, great compassion invokes the.
It's bodhicitta, yeah, correct, yeah. No, compassion is like, oh, homeless person, I'm sorry. Oh, mom hurt her leg, I want to fix it. The second one is bodhicitta. If you think about those states of mind, oh, wishing and action. I would say it is the action. It's holy great compassion is the action of bodhicitta. You're correct, which is spontaneous. Holy great compassion is the result of bodhicitta. Is the result of you a lifetime, treating lifetimes, thinking of other beings. All of a sudden, as soon as you're aware of suffering, you're there. In any way, in any action, in any form that you can project, a teaching or an insight or something, you're there trying. They have to have the karma to see it. That's another story. An enlightened being has projection bodies. That's what the projection bodies mean. Wherever there are beings, they're not thinking, oh, Noga's over there. She wants to find an answer. I'm going to give her the answer. That is great compassion, Mahakaruna. That's a bodhisattva going, I've got to help a Buddha, a holy great compassion, which is an enlightened being. It's just like, oh, she's there. And whatever thoughts you have or whatever visuals are around you would be, the actions of not me trying to tell you the answer to you. And you can only see them if you have them. Which is, I know, that takes some practice, that takes some thinking, because you've got to get correct view for that. Yeah, but understand that's a tenet.
There's three reasons why the
How are you? Nice to see you. Hannah, again, thanks. Nice to see you.
It's like what? It's like
commentary on very good.
Peter, the one that depends on the body would be the second one, the brain. It would say mind, the Charvakas would say mind depends on the body, like it has to have a brain and then you have a body. Yeah, you have a mind. Yeah. That's the second one.
And they were debating.
The quality is like when there is a body, there is a mind. You know, and you can't say that's true, because what about? Yeah, like alcohol gets you drunk. You don't like the analogies. We should find among ones. Spicy what?
Which is funny because the chart.
I like it. It's a quality of spicy food that makes your food emotional. So when you get a body, it makes a mind come.
Without the wall.
To find the
mind is a result of the body, like a lamp.
This turns out to be
Yeah, it's a result of the body. It was actually, yeah, I think it was Dharma
They were the people, they were like
I want to say
our body is like
it would be
yeah, you'll know.
yeah.
Yeah, I think because there is a material process.
You have the same stuff.
It's a little bit, right? So it's saying that, like,
So are you saying I'm not sure I'm not Material cause is breaking down.
I actually, it's just like,
Whatever
yeah, I'm like,
you have your mind. So mind is that would be get to you have no need to see. So pick up the water, the light, the warmth, everything else. They always say it's the thing that flops over. But that's the general, and then they'll use that analogy, and that's for me,
Right. Thank you. That's perfect. Perfect. No, but that's the reason for both those ideas.
In my
And then one of the material cause the
chemical,
so kind of like a flower doesn't produce
other stuff.
Such a problem.
With the LNGQ?
What's the cause of
With the similar cause of mind and body.
orange sea?
Like, okay, I get mind produces mind, but if mind is projecting the body, that's not like
It's not projecting a body separate to stuff out there. There is stuff out there. This is the big Machiavellian problem. There are at the bare minimum. The Prasangika answer is that. It's like, there is stuff out there, you cannot find it. There is stuff out there, you cannot find it. So you could say it's the elements. It's the four elements which you are forced to perceive as your body. Warm, hardness, watery. And your karma forces you. But they would also say when you investigate it, earth element is you never find it.
But it doesn't mean that it's not there
Because it's there. Like it's there. It's really simple. It is there. Yeah, sorry.
It's not that it has to do with I still have difficulty understanding the levels, but then when it's necessary, there was more ones on the base. Because isn't my mind contained in my body?
Sorry?
Isn't my mind contained in my body?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, good answer. Excuse me a second. I'm just gonna get also on the rack.
Not like you're dying some So we talked about
So there's two different kinds of water. But first is this idea of self-dependence. So if you just have spontaneous synthesis without thinking about it,
material cause is the main.
Sorry, I'm trying to read. So the first one is
so one idea would be to say, if you just have spontaneous sense of self,
walking around the
that's one
street,
proof.
also
Spontaneous sense of self as self. You have a spontaneous sense that everything in the world is self.
and that does not cause the rebirth. The second one would be, I don't know what he's titling that.
But I
So,
See yourself in
well, without reading it out there, but one way to think of self is to have an idea without you are just If you're not examining it, you have to construct sense of self.
Instead of
Not a specific positive or
from the cycle,
Years
but also like,
If it's
like,
not-
because
there's no- There's not gonna be- But take the next one.
there's a feeling that
If you have limit you're not gonna have that. You want to be guilty of
And that it comes to something.
Yeah, exactly. Just focusing yourself on yourself, leading in a general way. Without even
So you
thinking
do
about
that
it.
example, let's say, in life.
The second one.
This is also who doesn't even know.
But I don't understand.
The second one is seeing yourself as self-existent, just having some just so that's just different. You can go there and
So the audience really like
any reality.
then someone else could walk by.
So you might bring that one.
So they're seeing the stick versus seeing the cow and knowing the cow is there. Versus just seeing the cow and knowing the cow. So the second one is seeing the cow and not knowing the cow.
Yeah.
You still see the cow, but you know it's cow. So the way by acting and now that you know, the final one is, yeah, it would be. So you would.
The first one.
Yeah.
I have a problem with it too. But I think I have a problem with it. But I think what it says is just a experience of an item without holding it as self-existent. It doesn't create a karma. It's just a.
This person is just sort of totally unaware that the karma.
No, we are all doing that all the time about something. It's a wall, it's a this, it's a that. But as soon as you focus on it and you think it's there from its own side, which is in the background of everything, that triggers karma. But I think it's to differentiate some debate and some argument that says upon, I think, it's not scriptural, it's me trying to think through this problem. I think it's the resulting karma of experiencing something, the result of karma versus the planting. Oh, there's a room. That room is self-existent. I'm in a room. One is just the appearance or the awareness of the up, and as soon as your mind then moves a little bit more and says it is out there separate from me, it's a karma. Milliseconds apart. That second and the third trigger. But it's good that you're stuck there because it's a problem.
The third one is seeing yourself as self-existent.
Well, that's how I kind of, I mean, in a sense, like, I think, as a human, I wake up and like.
You what again? That must be Hannah. That must be her vibes, the juju. 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen, 1 minute, except for Rachel's team who won.
So you can see yourself. There it is.
Right.
Which is describing who? Anyone in the path of seeing or beyond. Yeah.
You don't see it, you don't.
You must if there's 7 lifetimes.
Oh, wait, no,
You don't just burn off, you do performance if you have the awareness of
Hector.
things. Yeah.
Is the X mean not you're Xing out trigger of rebirth?
No, it means it doesn't collect karma to generate that.
Yeah, that's what right. So yeah. Right. Right, so then do you just, Hector,
Yeah,
with the third one,
yeah.
it's the direct perception of emptiness that would trigger your rebirth. Is that implying that this person could practice Hoa at the time of their death? Is that what they would do? Would they select where their death
The third one does produce karma.
Right, but what I'm saying is, it says, you have seen emptiness directly, that triggers your rebirth.
No, but it doesn't say.
No, it doesn't trigger your rebirth at all. Because you're perceiving emptiness, right? No, the third one. Oh, the third one.
The third one is you see yourself as self-existent, but you don't believe it. So you're in the path of seeing or in the path of habituation.
So
You have seen emptiness directly already. You've come out of the direct perception
Oh,
of
you're saying
emptiness.
you're still being born.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I
Up to
get it.
7 lives.
I have a lot of trouble with the first one. Wait, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I do too, and I'll explain it. I agree, I know.
Because I just don't understand, right? Like a human who looks in a mirror and sees himself as like,
It's just a millisecond before, like seeing Alana and thinking Alana self-existent. It's just a millisecond apart. The first karma and the second one. It's like, oh, I see a room. That doesn't create a karma. Oh, that room
I
is.
see myself in the mirror and thinking like, I'm a human.
Just seeing yourself in the mirror. A millisecond before you hold it to be human, solid, real. That doesn't, a millisecond
So
before.
what kind of person is
We all do that all the time. Just before we call it all self-existent. We're forever saying, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's a room.
No, but I was always like, honest.
But you don't do it instantly. If you follow a millisecond before you captured Alana, you must have had an outline of an Alana. At that point, you didn't collect the karma. As soon as you call it an Alana with self-existence, then you had a karma. Before, when you just see it. No, a millisecond of consciousness standing in front of a mirror. You see a silhouette in real time. At that point, no self-existence, just a silhouette, no alarm, yeah? Just a silhouette. Milliseconds before, oh, that's happening. We are not aware of that. That's happening all the time. And I have a problem with that too. I think it also refers to having a result of an experience. I witnessed this, and then I call it something. That's how I. What? No. It's so. It could be that. Yeah. It could be that. The thing you project the mental construct to. Yeah, I would go there. That's good.
Or like, right, we're saying, right, like I make excuses for the dog. Oh my God, that's right. And I'm like, oh, their dog, he doesn't like critically take that, right?
No, it's before that. It's a millisecond of awareness. That's all.
Right, but like, when I think about this, right, like, my dog looks in like a mirror, right? Like, when he's looking in a window and he sees a reflection of himself, he thinks it's another dog.
Yeah, but before that, before he thinks another dog, he just sees a reflection. That reflection is number one. But I see a dog is number two. an aria. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is time.
Because it's the lack of something that never existed anyway.
I think Rachel is the boss of that. So Rachel is the boss of the quizzes.
Hold on, I can make it. No, you're right. You're right in distracting me from what I said.
You believe that you're.
I mean, what you said was right. That's also what you said.
Oh, okay, that's what just. That makes sense. No,
Everyone is sick and Steven doesn't want anyone to touch him. Awesome. Thank you. I actually had 2 showers today without just showers deep. It really helped. Yeah, thank you. Number 1. Number 5. Yeah, everyone has a problem.
Sorry, Peter.
Oh, what's it say?
Like the first time where you're not understanding does not.
Yeah, that's what the X means. That's not trigger.
Okay.
Not trigger. Yeah. X means not trigger. Sorry.
And so like in an attempt to resolve that, like with what we understand, that kind of
that moment of mind.
Oh my God.
This is so cool.
She's asking for one.
I figured that's how you got it.
I don't know what you said. But so,
That's cool. Yeah.
the first way of seeing the self doesn't happen necessarily, doesn't usually happen at the moment of death.
No, correct.
That being, like, that's how you are in life, but like at death, you have that second, you have that clinging.
Yeah, okay. Everyone had problems with the first one, and I also have problems with the first one of the 4 ways of focusing on the self, okay? I don't interpret that as being at the time of death either. By the way, the X means does not trigger, yeah? And this is the way I've been able to resolve it for me. And I actually honestly don't know, but it's helped me if it's 100% true. So if it's not scriptural, you have to go investigate yourself, okay? I think it's to do with some debate that if you get cornered, you have to agree that there is a moment of mind that doesn't trigger a future life karma. And that is just observing things unexamined without sitting there and grasping onto an identity. It would be like looking at a reflection of yourself in the mirror before you called yourself yourself. Before you called yourself a person, your mind, eye consciousness just caught the silhouette of a thing that millisecond before you went, Anthony. And then that Anthony has all these implications that he's over there and Anthony is this and is that and is that. That self-existent Anthony, that's number 2. But the millisecond before that one in regular life, we do it all the time. I walk into a room. Oh, this room must have been here a long time. Good room. Yeah. But as soon as you got awareness of the space, it's just a room. I don't know if that's really the answer. It helped me process the other one. The others I understood because of the previous study. That first one, I think, is to answer a debate. It'd be worth if you looked at the reading and checked it out. See if the answer's there. Merry Christmas. Karma, 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 karma. I'm going to cover a couple of things: why karma, the background of the books, etc., the essential ideas, and how do we use it in practice. Okay. So the huge idea of karma, I just want to give context, is really to say, where did you come from? Yeah. And Buddha would say, no, you weren't created by a god. You know, Christians would say you came from a god, and other religions, etc. Some created being went swing, and there you are, you.
Sure.
Swing. But,
That's from Wayne's World. Yeah.
oh, is it?
Yeah. It means like, yeah.
Oh, I see. Not swing. Sorry. Maybe swing. Maybe the ultimate swing. I didn't mean that.
The ultimate.
Ultimate swing. Yeah. But you got to consider this, right? We just bought into a story and we're like comfortable because it works most of the time. Buddhists would say some created being didn't create you, particularly you, who you are. And you, as you are, is not mummy and daddy's mind, your consciousness, your awareness. Your body, no problem. Sperm and egg together, multiply, cells, more cells, no problem. But body and mind, very different things. Yeah, body has physical causes. Mind, Buddha would say, has mental causes. No big deal there, okay? It didn't come from Buddha either. So what is this consciousness of us, this thing that you experience? It's
the concept of time is that there's no beginning.
Right.
So
you can't, yeah, and there you have infinity. There you have.
Because that's still for me like the Big Bang question. There's still what's the before.
Yeah, because we're stuck on the idea that there must be a beginning, and so we're trying to frame everything because we learned that. Same here. I'm like, it blows my mind. But if you grew up in that idea, it's no big deal. It'd be weird to think that everything that's cause, everything that's changing is cause. That's like a basic tenet.
That I get. It's
yeah.
The rabbit hole.
And then the rabbit hole comes as a result of that, and we reject it because it's not what we're used to.
It's almost not like the way that it's worded in English. I would wonder what the Tibetan is or the Sanskrit, because when we talk about the material cause, it's just the thing that occurred before the thing that you're experiencing now. So cause has this like implication that there was nothing and then there was something that created something.
Right.
And
so it's got create. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would question what it is in the original language.
The idea, look, if there is a creative principle, that if it did come from somewhere, if someone really was in charge of producing who you are, Buddha would say that creative principle wasn't a creative God, wasn't your mom and dad, it was you, it was your mind, your consciousness. That's the creative principle in Buddhism. Yeah, if there is one, if you had to say where is the creation. The rabbit hole of infinity comes through logic and we spin, but play with it. You know, it's just another view. So we know consciousness is not physical. This thing that is you, your propensities, your triggers, the things that makes you pissed or angry or joyful, those things that emerge. If I put the same object in front of all of you, you will all have a slightly different experience. If I put particular objects in front of you, some of you will be very triggered and some of you will like, blah, right? If I say a political statement, we can divide the room, right? No, seriously, if I did a sexually charged comment, same. Something in you, and that's the idea, right? What is it that caused that? Because you didn't sit there and choose to be pissed off. If you were pissed off, and you didn't choose to be in love or joyful or happy that Hector said such and such, it came up, and then you were aware. So where is that coming from? According to the Buddha, it wasn't out there, parents, creator being or anything. It's something in you. We discussed it in the past and future lives. So it's mind, your consciousness, not physical, not created by Buddha or anyone else. It's not from your mom and dad. It's beginningless, meaning you can't, as soon as you say it came from a previous moment, and that came from a previous moment, you can't stop. And that hurts our mind. And I think it's because we're looking at it from this perspective of samsara, where life looks that way. Stop, 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 stop. But if an enlightened being, a mind that had an awareness of all things, of all existing things, of all time, they would not see it that way. That would be all time, past, present, and future at once. They would see it differently. Why? Because their mind is forcing them to see it differently. And it's also not from nowhere. It's not random. Your mind, your consciousness, if I put whatever object in front of you and you have your natural response, and then you try and guard it because you don't want to say something stupid, or you don't want to say whatever, that also isn't random, not caused, didn't come from anywhere. It came from something. So Buddha would say it came from previous moments of you, and that is karma. That is karma. And karma is everything you think and everything you say and everything you do enters your consciousness, seeds your mind. Your awareness of what you think, say, and do, the consciousness that perceives itself, it is creating imprints in your mind which are forcing your experience of life. Why? Because things have no nature. They are empty of being thus. Prove it. Weird political statement. Empty of causing you to be pissed off. Doesn't have that nature. Why? Some people are not pissed off. Some people are pissed off. It didn't come from the statement. Where did it come from? The beings perceiving it, their minds, their consciousness. Do you see that? That's the union of karma and emptiness. An object, so some people might be allergic to this eucalyptus oil. It's really good for me at the moment. I put it on, nice thing. It's not like I'm choosing to enjoy it. I'm enjoying it, yeah? But if I put this under a rat, they might not enjoy it. If I put this under a person that's allergic to it, they'll break out into things. It's the same object, two radically different realities. It couldn't have come from the object. Make sense? Which implies something in the consciousnesses are forcing that experience as real. It's not that it's not real. You did get an allergic reaction. It is a real thing. I did enjoy it and feel bliss. It is a real thing. But it didn't come from this. What? If it did, everybody that smelt it must feel the same way because it has the properties. It has the qualities. If that were true, if this has the qualities to make everybody heal, we would be forcing everybody to sniff this. And it would heal absolutely everybody. The fact that it doesn't means that it's not dependent on this, it's dependent on your minds. And so karma is the big explanation of what is it that's causing this reality, this universe. Now, I'm going to warn you because it's a big idea. And the warning is this. Initially, as Westerners, we might like to adopt the idea of karma as it's my emotional response. But there really is a bitchy boss out there who forced me to be angry. And that's okay. You can use it that way. But the mind blower is that ultimately there was never a boss like that. There could never be. Even the physicality of your body, the physicality of this universe is also a projection of your mind. And that's like, know it's coming. Don't have to live there yet. Yeah? Know that maybe your response to life, your automatic response to life is your mental habituation. If that's what gives you comfort, that's okay. Learn it that way. And later, you'll come to that wall, say, hold on. What about physical objects? Is this really a bottle? Is it hard for everybody that feels it? Is it a square object for everybody without exception? And that's a mind blower, okay? Majjhimika Prasangika, the high school would say, it's all your projection and it's real. But we won't get there until next week. So if you want to know why certain people popped into your life to piss you off and make you happy, if you want to know why certain experiences popped into your experience, you can't, according to this view, you can't go looking for it out there, because if you do, you're mistaken. You're creating a mistaken understanding. You can only look in here. And if you understand where it comes from in here, you can change it. That's the big implication. It's a mind blower, but the big implication is because it comes from you, you can change it if you find the causes. And that's what today's course is about. If it came from some creator God, may as well go out, rape, pillage, and drink, because they're going to get you anyway at some point. So just enjoy yourself. Yeah, if you came from mum and dad, then do whatever you need to do to avoid or like mum and dad. But if it comes from you, you have complete and utter responsibility for your reality. And that is heavy, but it's freeing. It's empowering. It's really empowering. You have access to your freedom from any suffering you experience, including the suffering of death and dying. That is also an experience projected. That whole sensation of your body feeling whatever does not have to equal just like this. It doesn't have to force itself upon you as a terrible death and whatever fears come up. It doesn't have to produce fear. It can produce enlightenment, or beforehand, hopefully. So that's a big idea. Yeah, I wanted to frame it. That's really what we're talking about. Now we're going to go through the questions and the ideas, which you get to review next week, but we'll get the essence of it today. Any questions? Good. Let me give you the lineage. When you see numbers 1, 2, and 3 over there, you'll know that these are related to the big homework questions, not the quiz questions that we've got. So this originally comes from Lord Buddha, the teaching on karma. And the main book we're studying is, see who remembers? 4th chapter of the Treasure House of Knowledge, of Higher Knowledge, Abhidharma Kosha. Congratulations, by Master Subandhu, because I put it up there. Around 350 AD, who was he brother of? Half brother. Good. Yeah, true question.
What?
Half brother.
Asanga.
Because he was half a brother, not full brother.
Oh.
I don't know who was full brother of. So Abhidharma, just so you know, there were like 7 Abhidharma books, 7 books that collected all the knowledge from the Buddha. At the time of the Buddha, there were about 7 of them written by Buddha's direct disciples. The Abhidharma Kosha, the treasure house of high knowledge, collects all those 7 books by Master Vasubandhu and says, here is the essence of those 7 Abhidharmas, yeah, which is the Vaibhashika school. The Vaibhashika school. So Abhi means approaching or moving towards, and Dharma means object. No, it means so many things, but object is an object is a dharma. It comes from der, which is to hold onto something, to hold something perceived. So an object is a dharma. It also means higher truth. It also means dharma, the Buddha's teachings. It also means all these things. But in the literal sense, Abhi means move towards. A dharma is an object, and here they're referring to an ultimate object, to the most exquisite, the highest thing, which is your nirvana, your enlightenment, your freedom from suffering. So it is this knowledge that takes you up to that freedom, that nirvana. So Abhidharma, because that might be a question in your thing. And then you'll be asked, what's the unstained knowledge that it refers to? So if you know that, do you know what I'm talking about by the unstained knowledge? The 5 parts, 2 of which are stained knowledge and 3 which are unstained. 3 wisdoms which are unstained. Which are the 3 that are unstained?
Direct perception of emptiness.
Path 3, direct perception of emptiness, path of habituation. So in your spiritual career, you will go through 5 paths, roughly. Yeah, you'll begin to accumulate good energy to try and understand your world. And then you will prepare to see an ultimate experience of this world, really understand this world. That's called the path of accumulation, the path of preparation. You're still a samsaric schmuck, suffering, weird, holding on to things, fighting yourself. Like you're still weirded out because you still don't understand. You have doubt about where the world comes from. You're not sure if when you take the aspirin, whether the headache will go away or not. You don't know when you get the girlfriend, whether you'll be happy or not. You've got no idea. Yeah, but you're accumulating virtue by trying. You get renunciation, you're trying to get out. And then you're accumulating knowledge, you're preparing with your understanding of knowledge, you're studying these ideas. What is reality about? What does my mind relate to it? How does it create suffering or not? Path of preparation. And if you do enough of that and a bunch of meditating and a bunch of serving others, you generate enough virtue to pop you into the third, an unstained experience of yourself. Unstained because it's not caught up in suffering, which is the path of seeing, where you see emptiness directly. It's a catch phrase, but what it means is that in meditation, because you've put stuff in your mind that will cause it, okay, it's not uncaused. You put it in there through study and virtue and real bodhicitta, trying to help people, etc. That will give a result equal to what you put in there. With a fervor to understand your universe, really clear, hopefully for the sake of others, you don't have to, but it'd be a good idea. That will fruit into a path of seeing, the third, the first of the unstained wisdoms, which is you see directly that all things don't have a nature coming from their own side. Everything, every physical thing and every non-physical thing, every idea of you, you see it directly. Imagine in a state of meditation, complete stillness, that you know with complete and utter certainty where your universe is coming from, for sure. You don't have to go and ask anyone. You don't have to come to a stupid class with Hector. You know with complete certainty how it is that your mind creates the experiences you're forced to experience. And with that knowledge, that's path 3, the path of seeing, you see precisely what you need to do to stop your suffering, because you've got a bunch of cause and effect coming your way from what you did before. But now you know exactly what causes things. So then you enter the 4th path, which is the path of habituation. You come out of the direct perception of emptiness. You are aware that reality isn't coming that way, but it appears that way because you have the habit for it. You just don't believe it. And so you go about through the path of habituation, meaning you enact a certain behavior in your world that is true to causality, which will let you free yourself from the causes of suffering, the ones you see coming. And then eventually you enter the 5th path, which is the path of no more learning, you're just enlightened. So that's the 5 broad areas of spiritual career for anybody that wants to get free from the conditions of this world. So the 2 unstained knowledges, Shara, which is the unstained knowledges, the 3 are described, and its accessories, all the stuff you need to do to make that happen. Coming to class, meditating, being virtuous, and all the accessories. So that it's like the idea of the seed and all the conditions you need to put there. So that Abhidharma is the thing that takes you to that higher thing, and it takes you with these wisdoms. We're studying a commentary by the first Dalai Lama, first of the Dalai Lamas, who's the student, one of the later students of Je Tsongkhapa, the one who is here in this lineage, who we've been studying in this lineage. And the book is called Illumination on the Path to Freedom. So that's the essence of the book. That's where these ideas come from. They're tried and tested since the time of the Buddha. There's a line on the 4th chapter of the Abhidharma Kosha called Mele Jikte Natsokye, which means deeds and their causes create deeds cause the multitude of worlds, meaning your entire universe and everything you experience are just caused by the deeds you did yourself. You are the creator of your universe, according to this system. This system is way more holistic than someone deciding whether or not you live a happy life or an unhappy life. That one doesn't seem to function. You don't have any control. This one, once you put your mind to it, you begin to get hints how cause and effect never fail. You will put your stuff in your mind in a certain way, and then you will see it. If you stick to it, you will see how that pops up as a result, very equal to its cause. You're like, I remember planting those karmas. And then you get a kind of confidence about this method, this system. Yeah.
You have the word water up there.
Yeah. Do you remember that video I showed you guys? This is water.
I love that video.
Yeah, I'll show it next week. It's just to reference that, to say, remember that thing is that we are so unaware of reality, that the universe is coming from us. We think it's coming this way. We are in water, like fish in water, and we don't even know. That's where it's. Yeah. So the summary of what we've covered in all these courses is the Abhidharma is the basics. It's what we'll cover today. Then from the Majjhimika and the mind-only school, which I'll cover at the end, which you have already studied, talks more precisely about, gives you some theories about how karma might work. But don't forget, I said at the beginning, it is Shinto Kokya. It is very hidden. It's hard to grasp. Yeah. So this is just a mind-only theory, which helps you frame these ideas. And then from the Lamrim, if you buy into the idea, you say, well, if I want to speed it up, can I use some shortcuts to make karmas that will produce a result faster? And that's what we get from the Lamrim. I want to talk about the 4 qualities of a good Buddhist book. So there's this idea that you imagine if you believe that this is not your only life, okay? And you believe truly, which most of us don't, that you will at some point die. We think that ain't coming, right? That's why we're here. Like, that's why we got all the nice things we have, and that's why we go and watch movies or read silly books or whatever. We think we got unlimited time here. Well, in the monastic system and in that culture, that's not the case. It's like you have limited time. Tick tock, tick tock. That thing is coming for you. And between now and then, it is possible to transform your consciousness. It is possible to free yourself from suffering. If that was true, don't waste this precious human life. So they have this quality of books you should read. It's like not the New York bestseller. It is the Enlightenment bestseller, which says if you are going to invest any amount of time at all placing imprints in your mind, it should be towards something ultimate, like the Abhidharma Kosha. Yeah, it should be towards something that will help you, especially at that time and hopefully before. So the 4 qualities are the subject matter. And the subject matter of the Abhidharma Kosha is all of phenomena, stained and unstained phenomena, things that are in the cycle and things that are beyond. There is nothing not described in the Abhidharma Kosha. The first chapter of the Abhidharma Kosha describes, it's where we get the mandala offering. It describes the multitude of worlds, it describes universes, it describes the end of the planet with a supernova. It's like a bizarre explanation of the universe and what it does. The 4th chapter is the laws of cause and effect. It's what we're going to be studying. So here, the subject matter of the Abhidharma Kosha, solid subject matter, it's all phenomena. It should have a good purpose and an ultimate goal. So the purpose is to plant understanding in the minds of the reader. It's different to a Harry Potter book. Yeah, the point is that the imprints that you will put in your mind, which will flower, which will produce a result equal to the imprints you put there and much bigger. So the imprints you put right now in the books you're reading will determine maybe a 10-year span of experience at some future time. Karma expands. Yeah.
How is anything not unstained? Like
when seen from the perspective of an enlightened being.
Do you define stained and unstained?
So it's just seeing things through the veil of illusion versus seeing.
Yeah. So you're inside the wheel of life, or you're outside the wheel of life. That's it.
So if you're inside the wheel of life, then everything is stained.
Yeah. And you're out there.
Unless you're in the path of seeing habituation or normal learning.
Whilst you're in the path of seeing, you can't say you're in stained phenomena. You're in unstained phenomena.
Right.
In the path of the habituation, I'd say you'd fluctuate.
Okay.
You'd be forced to see it as stained, but you don't believe it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then in the path of noble learning, you're outside.
You're saying in the path of seeing, you're in the path of seeing for a moment, but you fall out of
20
it.
minutes, you're in the 20 minutes, yeah. So then the ultimate goal of a good book is like, what it should have a good ultimate goal. This one is to get you to nirvana or to enlightenment. And then there should be a relation between these. That should cause that, right? So the subject and the purpose and the ultimate goal should be matched. And in the Abhidharma Kosha, they do. House of Cards, not so much. Putting your mind through Game of Thrones, not so much, unless you're trying to look at it as your samsaric Unless you're trying to look at it with yourself. I'm trying to excuse myself from watching Game of Thrones. Unless you look at it. No,
murdering your affliction.
Thank you. Like that. That's right. Okay, so we got that.
Oh wait, just one question. So when you were saying that on the slide that was just before the slide that was just there, because you were saying the two stages that were stained. It's not that the stages themselves are stained. That's just what you're experiencing is that stained.
The mind that experiences is this where the staining is.
Oh, okay.
It's not like there is a world out there that is a crappy world.
Yeah.
Okay. This very world. So let's imagine. Okay, we all have a slightly different experience of this. Those in this side of the room see that side of the label. That's literal. And those on that side see that. And me, I see the back. Individually, we have a slightly different perspective. Then we have a different feeling about it, right? That stupid example again with the eucalyptus. I hate eucalyptus. I love eucalyptus. Slightly different feeling. Yeah. You add another creature in this room, like a tiny insect, and that would be overwhelming and destructive to them. A completely different realm experiencing the same thing. Yeah. You bring a being who has managed to remove all their mental afflictions, what's called an enlightened being, a Buddha, yeah, or a being in nirvana, and you place them in front of this object, they would have an unstained experience of this object. They would be forced to, just like you are forced to see a bottle that you either like or don't like, they would be forced, because of the nature of their mind, to experience it as complete bliss, regardless of what you see it as or I see it as. Just like an insect is forced to experience it in a certain way that is fluctuating, stained. That's what it means. If you, yes?
You referred to two types of nirvana.
Yeah.
We're not sure what that means.
Nirvana and enlightenment. It was weird to me because we're talking about it was weird to me that we would have to, initially I thought it was with something remaining or with nothing remaining. It's a technical thing. Don't worry about it. The goal is you're going to get free of suffering in one or another way. Well, it's weird because this is not the bodhicitta school.
Oh, right.
This is not Mahayana. So that's why it was weird.
Okay.
Yeah, that he shouldn't say that, but they do say that.
Okay.
Karma is defined as?
Movement of the mind.
Huh?
And what follows?
Huh?
And what follows?
Let's see if you're correct. The movement of the mind and what it motivates. This comes from the Abhidhamma Kosha. So think about that. Karma is just the movement of the mind and what it motivates. What does that mean to you? Your mind moved from here to there. This experience, it was cool and now it's warm. Heck, it was interesting, now it's boring. I wasn't thinking about dinner, now I'm thinking about dinner. Your mind moved, and then what follows? Those two are karma. Yeah?
That's the same as cause and effect.
We could say that, but we call it karma.
Yeah. But karma means action.
Karma literally means action. Yeah.
So,
but it's defined.
Mind is action.
Yeah, the action of the mind. What moves and what follows. It moved. Yeah. Give me 3 types of karma.
Positive, negative, neutral.
Oh.
Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral.
You said pleasant.
Virtuous, non-virtuous, neutral.
Cool, we'll get there later. Give me different types of karma. I'm trying to project.
What do you mean?
Well, you have the 3 doorways of karma. Let's try that.
Body,
That's
speech, and mind.
That's
Body, speech, and mind.
Body, speech, and mind. Mental, verbal, and physical. There are the 3 ways you can plant karma. Yeah? I know I was fishing. It was just give me a list. Give me a random list of 3. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thanks. We'll get to the next one later. But you have mental karma, which is motivating karma. You have a movement of the mind and say, I like ice cream. Yeah. And then you have what follows, which is you either say, give me the ice cream, or you go grab the ice cream. Yeah. Your mind is perceiving you grabbing the ice cream. Your mind is recording, your consciousness is recording you saying, give me the ice cream. If you push the old lady out of the way to get the ice cream, your mind is watching you push the old lady out of the way to get ice cream. And therein lies a problem karma. You think you're getting a happiness, the ice cream, but you didn't see, you just pushed the old lady out of the way. I was sitting on the train on the way here, and there's this beautiful kid, 2 brothers. This lovely mum, her tiny baby screaming to the top of his lungs because it's so cold. They come inside. The two boys sit right in front of me with their notebooks. And they're so well behaved. They're probably no more than 7. The mum is desperately trying to get the brat to shut up, you know. Sorry, the baby, the gentle baby. Yeah, the gentle baby. And she was doing so well. She started feeding the baby quieted it down. And then I'm looking at these 2 boys, and one of them was just like me as a child, completely annoying the other one, and the other one is just trying to draw. And the other one's like pushing the pen, and he's like, I'm just drawing. And he's like, he said something rude to him, and he ignored him. And I'm having this complete experience that this is the good boy, and this is the shit boy. You know, good boy, bad boy. The mental projection. I'm watching him, and he's drawing, and I'm thinking, I wonder what he's going to draw. And he looks like he's orderly because he's not moved by the brother, like he's the organized boy. The brother got tired of trying to annoy him, so he went and helped his mum with a baby, very kind, like switched from bad to gentle brother. And then the kid in front of me starts ripping out the bits of paper that are not quite nicely placed inside the binder, and then just dropping them on the ground because it's annoying him from drawing. Like there's all these scraggly bits of things where he tore the sheet, you know, and then that's in the thing. So he's just pulling them out, and there's this mountain of crap. And then he's looking at crunched up bits of paper, so he starts getting them out. And then there's this mountain of garbage on the floor. And then that he gets a clean book, he starts writing. And I'm thinking, this kid is probably trying to do something nice. He thinks he's doing something beautiful. He's going to create his lovely drawing. And it was a stack of things on top of things on top of things. But if you looked around him, his unawareness that he just created garbage for everybody else on the subway and then just got up and left it.
Oh my God.
Right? He was aware, his mind was aware that he planted that. He might not have been super conscious, but it's a habit that he must have had. He might be doing that at home, or he might be okay, or the mom's too busy to help him. But that kid must experience the result of what he saw doing. He must experience the result of ignoring the shitty brother, but then he must also experience the result of being organized and having garbage and mess around him when he's trying to be organized. Right? So we are doing karmas all the time. The movement of our mind catches peripheral awareness, and that doesn't go away. That doesn't disappear.
So what we're saying, it's the conscious mind has its limited focus, and the subconscious mind or the unconscious
Correct.
mind has all everything.
But awareness is in all of it. Yeah, good. Physical. Now you're going to have about, in this school, which no other school believes, they have this idea of communicating and non-communicating karma. And communicating karma is an obvious thing. So the example they give in scripture is if you're taking your vows, if you're taking vows of freedom or refuge vows or some kind of vow, you drop down on your knee and you say, I promise to do a certain thing. And when someone watches you kneel and take a vow, make a promise, that's communicating karma. Why? Because someone sees you. It's like that's telling a story, right? Communicating karma. Now that person gets up, has that vow, makes that promise, and walks out on the street. Did the vow disappear? No, it's in their mind, right? So it's non-communicating karma. They still have that karma working in them as they walk down the street. Yeah. And then this school says there are 5. They believe that karma is like a shroud, like a, I don't know, an aura condom or something around you that holds that nature of the of that karma you planted. Yeah. And that you carry it around, and only if you're like super spiritual will you see it upon a being walking down the street. Like you wouldn't know which people in this room have vows and which don't have vows. That's the non-communicating karma. Yeah. And then there are 5 flavors of it. I won't go into it.
The communicating karma is communicating for the person who
is witnessing.
Okay.
Is witnessing. Yeah.
Well,
and
you
then
said this school only has this
the
one?
Vaibhashika.
Okay.
It's the Abhidharmists in
Oh, okay.
in the 5 schools, in the 4 schools of India. It's not that important, except that you got to think this is where you're going to start to be challenged. Yeah. if you buy into the idea of karma, mental imprints, a imprint in your consciousness, you're going to have to think, where the hell is that imprint? How does it carry from moment to moment? This is the Shinjukoku. This is the very hidden. This is hard. And then there's been Buddhist schools of thought that have differed into what happens to that karma. They all believe in karma. They all say everything you do, everything you're aware of, every movement of the mind must have a result equal to the cause. So if it was anger, it would be negative. If it was love, it would be positive. The result. Everyone believes that, but then there's slight differences when you start investigating it with our limited view from inside the suffering world. We start creating theories to say, could it be in my left ear? Could it be the shrouded condom? Could it be the, is it held in my gut? Is it in my heart? Where is karma kept? And how does it move forward?
What's that weird thing?
But we need heavy air.
Yeah, we need heavy air.
That's coming.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the same
Yeah.
thing. Oh, that's mind only, right?
Correct. And that's what we're going to go now, because mind only is one school of Buddhist thought that has a theory that isn't quite right, but it functions and it helps us understand it. And that's what we're going to cover. So here we go. Let's talk about bhakchas kumchis. Yeah. So a mental seed is a bhakchak, a karma. A bhakchak, a mental seed. And it's planted through what we think, say, and do. Is that okay so far? Everything you say, think, or do, you are aware of, focused or broadly. Yeah. So it's recorded somewhere. It didn't disappear. If it's got an action, it must have an equal and opposite reaction. It doesn't disappear. Yeah.
They karma grows, so that's more than.
And it grows on top of it. Yeah, it expands. So then the result will be bigger. We'll cover those later. So these are called bhakchas. And in this school, where do they stay and replicate over time? We'll cover that. And it's got to have the right conditions. So in this school, you say, like we talked about the analogy of the seed, right? Is the dirt the cause of the tree?
No.
Is the water the cause of the tree?
No.
What is the cause of the tree?
All of them.
Which was before that, right?
Oh.
Before this picture. And so it needs, so that's the Nirlengi Q. That's the principal cause. Yeah? The principal cause is the stuff that flops over into a result. That's Master Dharmakirti's proof of future life. So it needs the conditions, and then that seed will sprout. And like you said, it grows, it expands, and then it's difficult to stop. So when you watch Game of Thrones too long, all those images must have a result in your mind equal to the motivation. Karma is like 90% motivation, equal to the motivation that you had once you were watching it. Because Game of Thrones is empty of having a nature of violence from its own side. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, it must. Does it mean that the nature of a knife is not to cut you?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Violent images will produce violent results. Knives coming at your eyeball will cut you. Yeah? Doesn't matter whether I want to project something else or not, it will cut me. So don't confuse my wish with my reality. Okay? So watching violence on Game of Thrones must give you a result that is violent.
Or eye surgery.
But if your motivation is to direct that violence, like Rachel said, to mental afflictions, every baddie in that show is an example of my jealousy, my anger, my ignorance. And every time they get slayed, I no longer have incorrect view, ignorance, and so on. Then those imprints will be violence towards your limited view of the world. It's a strange game, but it's interesting. What else do I need to cover?
Can you elaborate on that game a little more?
On the Game of Thrones?
No, the game of the senior, afflictions in game. How does that work?
Yeah. Remember I told you there's 4 reasons for having 4 qualities of a good book. They should lead you to freedom, right? Don't waste your time on stupid things. Yeah, like, oh, I read such and such a book. Did you know that the chakras and the blah, 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 it's just something silly to know, and then you'll forget it in a year. That's a bit of a waste of time. If karma is true and you can free yourself from experiencing suffering, then every action you do in your mind, body, speech, and mind, yeah, every karma should have a charge to free you from suffering. And things don't have a nature. Yeah, so if you can sustain it without ignorance, if you can do it, then something that would seem violent, like watching Game of Thrones and people killed, that will have a result of seeing things killed, much more than what you watched. But if your motivation was to say, that person being killed is representative of my jealousy in relationships, then you're slaying your relationship jealousy, because you're planting the karma to destroy your affliction. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's the same thing that you do in a positive aspect when you find a teacher and you give offerings to them. You're just trying to build you're trying to not build,
charge.
You're trying to continue the perception, you're trying to increase the perception. Because they're always rising up and falling away, rising up and falling away, and you want to make sure that the next arisen is better than what it was.
Yeah, so despite the way it appears, your intention, your mental karma, you're forcing it to be of a nature that you want the result to be. Just cook it. So, and let me go through the content.
So would it follow that, like, if I'm reading a book that's not
Dharma,
right? But it's helping me focus my mind
towards
on whatever
freedom.
subject,
Towards freedom.
or just helping me focus my mind and not having monkey mind, right? Then wouldn't that help my meditation? Like, which would then help?
You mean like playing Sudoku or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say, I dedicate this to my meditation. No problem. Yeah. Yeah. But you got to charge it with it. That's a whole other practice that I didn't want to get to here.
Okay, sorry.
It's a whole deeper practice that you could do. Once you get the core ideas of emptiness and karma, and you have a certainty about it, then you can play with these ideas. Yeah? Sorry, I jumped in early.
Very quick analogy.
You can.
All people know what transistors are. It takes multiple currents into it, but only one kind of current comes out of it. So that's the focus.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and so you're refocusing. Yeah.
Everything into this one direction of liberation. And that's a transition.
So then the 3 types of karma, now you can tell me, the 3 qualities of karma. If you know there are mental, verbal, or physical, these imprints in your mind, yeah, but they also come in 3 flavors. What are those? Good, bad, neutral. Yeah, virtuous, non-virtuous, and neutral. And they are defined, get this, they are defined in relation to their results, in relation to you. So a virtuous karma, a good karma, is a karma that will deliver you a positive result. One that doesn't is not. And a neutral one is one that's neither of those 2.
Define positive.
Pleasant.
No suffering.
Are those meant to be less than and greater than signs, or does that mean something else here?
I think it's
The plus and the minus?
Oh, because it's a short.
No, I think it's gonna be like an arrow.
Is it an arrow or is it a?
What are you talking about?
In between short term and pleasure.
Yeah.
Is that a greater than, or?
Oh, it's a negative sign and a plus sign. So one's a virtue.
No,
that's
short
short
term. See where it says short term, and then there's
That arrow
it
thing.
leads to pleasure. Is what it
It's
means.
greater than.
Yeah, I think it means leads to.
And then ultimately protects less than sign nirvana.
But it's less than nirvana.
Am I looking
But
at
it's
the wrong
less
thing?
than
It's all
nirvana.
about
I
first
think
sentence.
it's not.
It leads to
greater than
nirvana,
something.
creates nirvana. I'm not sure what you're looking at.
I don't think he's using them in a consistent way. It's just like as his mind is working.
So in that means that right?
Yeah, it's not.
Do you see what they're
I don't
talking
think
about?
it's.
They're looking at.
So the first
Like,
sentence that says virtue, the first sentence, virtue.
It's a plus.
Stand up and short term.
Oh, I see. No, leads to,
Leads to.
yeah, and then expands to nirvana. Sorry.
Oh, I.
Sorry,
We should have it
mathematicians.
reversed then. Make it consistent.
Apologies.
I've reassigned symbols.
Thank you. I have reassigned symbols. So once you get to understand these ideas, and they are big ideas, and they will transform the way you engage with the world. Once you get them, you want to get some shortcuts to try and play with them and see if you get results. And so the Buddha blurted out a list of the top 10 non-virtues and virtues that we can work with. Yeah? And these will look familiar to you. They are of body, speech, and mind. So the negative is killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. Those of you who are doing the yoga teacher training have just gone through this. These are 3 of the main human actions of body that we do all the time. And they will produce results that are negative in nature. You stop a life, you stop a being from breathing, you are creating an imprint in your mind that your mind will stop and that your body will stop breathing. And that will expand. That will create suffering. One moment of wishing it, because karma is planted through body, speech, and mind. One moment of wishing it will create a result bigger than the cause. I remember as a kid, my mom used to tell me to do stuff, and I'd pray to God, please kill her. Please kill her. And then when I'd get remorse, I'd be like, please don't kill her. But it's that state of mind that wishes harm on another. You know, like you get that remorse. You're sending messages. It's like, please. No, he hasn't killed her yet. She came close. Killing, stealing, think about it. Cause and effect bigger than the cause. You take away other people's stuff, what will you experience? Your stuff? Leaving. Yeah. Sexual misconduct, you want to interfere in other people's loving relationship. What must you experience? Yeah, exactly. Lying, meaning not telling the truth. Divisive speech, intention to separate people, harsh words, and shocking people with your words, and meaningless, like waste of time talk, like memes. Not kidding, unless they're super spiritual. Not all memes are spiritual. Then coveting, wanting other people's stuff. You'll always be paranoid people want your stuff. You will wishing harm on others and wrong view, misunderstanding the ultimate nature.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For example, with interrupting other people's relationships.
Yeah.
To what degree is in disrupting? Like I feel that
when you see your actions doing harm to their relationship, it's just in your mind, recorded. If you see that you cuddling up to Paul and Paul's got a girlfriend, makes her angry. Sorry, I'm assuming you're his girlfriend. Yeah, makes her angry. Then you have just recorded in your mind, my actions will probably piss off Paul's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all you need. It's in your mind and it's unstoppable. It will give a result. If your intention was like, she's nice, but I'm getting in his pants because I want it, disregarding what he's already interested in. Maybe if I tempt him enough, he'll play.
What if you think it, but you don't do it?
You still create a mental karma, which will eventually turn into physical karma.
But what if you just do
8 instead of 3?
But what if you just do, but the others are disrupted?
No.
Then the result of them not being disrupted is from a good karma from your past. Sorry.
I think it's still also I don't know.
I mean,
it can be broken
in the same way that harsh words is also killing. You know, like the way that this division is, it's physical, verbal,
and mental.
And they are all
right. So whether or not the intended action had the result you expected has nothing to do with the action you've recorded. So her question was, but what if I did get into Paul's relationship and the girlfriend wasn't upset?
No, that's not my question. What if you are just, like, I don't know, it's complicated, but what if you are just who you are by being who you are,
It's-
a relationship is disrupted.
It's a weird.
then that's a result of your previous karma. Your action, focused or unaware, like the kid in the subway, dropping garbage around, disregarding other people, will have a result in his consciousness. It's black and white. The boy created garbage where people have to walk through it. He can't be unaware of it. It's recorded there. He knows it's public property. He covered it with garbage. I don't want it in my space. It went into other people's space. The intention was get it rid of me, disregard others. That must have a result equal to that. He will be treated with disregard to his space. Same. We are how we are. Why? Because of karma.
No, I get it.
So it's a cycle.
You're leaving out the time thing. In other words, putting the seeds in and having them bear fruit is the eventual thing.
It's the eventual thing, correct? Yeah, and that's what I was explaining. If the person
and the result is much worse.
clearly, but if the result in the moment, and this is where we get all tripped up. I tried to break up Paul's relationship. Yeah, now you're having a relationship with Peter. I tried to break Paul's relationship with Peter, and Peter said, "Fine, no problem. Paul likes old bearded men. Yeah, I'm happy for him." And so he's happy and he's happy. But my intention, whilst I was doing the action, was like, see if I can sneak around. These were the thoughts that were going in my mind. See if I can ignore, see if I can talk to him separate to him. These are all minute. They don't disappear, people. They don't like vanish out of existence. They must have a result. So I must experience that result. The result of him not caring is a result of a previous good karma because he let me enjoy a sensual experience with his partner. No problem. But the intention with which I did that, it's a very different way to think about it. Yeah. And that's the same for the other 10. So if you want to play with these, for example, actually, I'll cover them in a sec. I'll cover, let's see, the correlations which come from the Lamrim. You get the basic premise, right? The top 10 list. There's more. There's 84,000 mental afflictions, 84,000 things that we do in our minds that disrupt us. These are just the top 10. 84,000 mental afflictions that we must remove.
Are you confusing that with the 84,000 teachings, or is that?
No, that's correlated. That's 84,000.
Correlated.
Yeah, it's correlated. 84,000 teachings to remove the 84,000 mental afflictions. I think it's just a big number. Okay. I want to get you out here in 15 minutes. Okay, and we will review all these next week. So you need to understand the 4 laws of karma. Like produces, like expands. Yeah. Here are the 2 very important ones. If committed, don't disappear, must give a result. If no result, it wasn't committed.
If not committed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cannot karma be purified?
Yes.
So no result.
No, it's not. It's a tiny result.
Okay, so can karma be removed?
No.
Through emptiness?
No, it gets covered over. Sorry. It's not called karma anymore.
Then how did the Buddha become enlightened?
The Buddha has all these unlatent seeds.
In a different form, right?
Yeah, it doesn't ripen. They're so, it's hard to explain.
But
They're so buried in a different view that completely destroys that reality that they will never have any of the conditions to ripen.
How did the Buddha become enlightened?
But I think the Buddha, they ripen, but he's not afflicted. He's
There's another
beyond that.
viewpoint within our tradition, so that when someone becomes a Buddha, they stay in this dimension until their karma's worn out. In other words, they physically continue living until they worn out their karma.
So then karma can be eliminated by wearing it out.
Right.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
as a Buddha,
I thought you were talking about destroying karmas before they ripen. Because the moment you flip over into an enlightened state of mind, it's not that you completely removed all your negative afflictions, that meaning they all ripen and you were forced to have every single. They are just so short-circuited or covered up with virtue that they just don't get a chance to ripen. They're like.
It seems by the second law that you can never have completed everything.
There's also the other viewpoint. You put a lump of salt in a small glass of water, it tastes very, very salty. Put a lump of salt in the ocean, it's very diffuse. So the karma, it's The negative comments don't hurt you because you have so much virtue.
That's a nice thing.
On top of
Thank
that,
you.
there's
I
the idea.
thought that a Buddha burns through.
I'm gonna
all
move
that.
through. I don't want your questions anymore. No, because I've got so much more to do. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I
You're
want to.
planting seeds to not receive teachers by talking over the teachers.
It goes both ways.
That's okay. I know how much I've got to go through, and I want to go through it and give you the insight, and then you can think about it. You have to internalize it. I'm not going to give you every answer, and you're going to go, "Oh, that's right." You have to think about it. Yeah. And then in the discussion we have next week, which is the last class, you get to break this particular thing apart. So then there's 4 ways that karma ripens. And this is important because this leads us into correlation. The 4 ways in which it ripens. So the 4 laws of karma we got, right? Like equals like, it gets bigger. If done, you get a result. If not done, no result. And then how does it turn on? Now, I'm just giving you the essence of these ideas. I'm not here to debate them with you. That's why I didn't want to answer you. I need you to give you the ideas. You put them all together, not just these 3. Put them all together and then work them and see if that view helps you in your world. So the ripening result is same as what the cause was. The corresponding experience is your personal experience of something similar. You then get a habit for it. You get a habit for the kind of karmas you planned. So if it's unawareness, you get a habit for not being aware. You get absent-minded. And then you get an environmental result where the conditions are such that you are in places, in situations that support that karma. Yeah. So you are in an absent-minded, like that kid, in an absent-minded world where it's okay to be absent-minded. It's encouraged. Yeah. So those are the 4 ideas of how karma ripens, as opposed to the 4 laws of karma. Like equals like, gets bigger, if done, gives a result, if not done, no result. But how? It's like that. Now this part here, yeah.
Between the 1 and 2, who's going by?
Ripening result, a reality like karma collected. This is talking in particular about past and future life. So in the moment of death, what will your next life be like? It will be like the karma collected. So if it was imbued with ignorance, it will be some lower rebirth.
Oh, so a karma doesn't have all 4 of these.
No, these are 4 ripening results of every karma.
Oh, so every karma.
Yeah, has the potential to produce a future world for you, a future.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And that will be determined at the moment of death, and it will be similar to its cause. If it's got ignorance, it will be a lower realm.
But the potential, it's not like if you punch me in the face, that's not a ripening result, is it? Like right now.
The result would be I'll get punched in the face, experience similar.
That would be the corresponding experience.
I'm talking about me, like the way it's ripening for me.
Yeah, ripening.
It's the corresponding experience.
I don't know. I know it was in relation to past and future lives. I don't know about the minute.
Okay, we can let it go. I get it.
Yeah, no problem. But you get the core idea, right? You will be experiencing the results of what you did. You will be in a world that supports that. The environment is conducive of that, and you have a habit for it. That's the 4 ripening. Yeah. And the reason I'm giving you that is because I'm about to give you a spreadsheet.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
I can explain the ripening result, I think, a little more, unless you don't.
Go on. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like your entire reality from a collection of karmas.
It's this. It can ripen in this life. It can ripen in the next life, or it can ripen in the life after, and equal to its nature. Yeah.
Okay. It just means it's certain.
It's certain. It's coming.
Because you could be a human in a certain environment. You could be a dog in a certain environment. The environment's a little different because it's not necessarily like a human and dog share the same environment, but your reality of being
that's nice
versus the reality of being a dog is different.
Cool. But let me check it all. You can check it before next week. In terms of what it is that's ripening, that when they ripen, you can say the results will karmas will ripen either, and every school believes this, in this life in the next life, in the immediate next life, or in any time thereafter. And herein lies the game of Tantra, the game of the secret teachings. This here, the fact that every school, every Buddhist school believes that whatever you put in your mind will ripen, and some of them can ripen right here in this life, means that if you find out just the right things to plant, you can remove completely all the suffering in this life and reach enlightenment or nirvana in one lifetime. That is the very foundation of the secret teachings. It's based on this. So the idea is finding out all the karmas that are lining up like airplanes in a runway. They're going to come out in dependence to something, right? And some of that we'll get to learn later depends on the object to which you're planting that karma. If you're nice to a puppy dog, or if you're super nice to your mom, the karma of being nice to your mom is stronger in your mind than the puppy dog. Yeah. If you try and be nice to a cockroach so it lives, and you let your mom live because she's in a car accident, which karma is more impactful in your mind? Mom. So that one will result earlier than the other one, because the object towards your karma is powerful. Yeah. And then there are other techniques like how intense your emotions are, etc., etc. So here, once you get to see all the dynamics of what is karma, what is not, what types, what are the top 10, etc., here you start playing with this technology and you've got to test it. I can't test it for you. You have to say, is that true? Then let me find a powerful object. Let me test these theories. I'm going to plant this specific karma and see what happens. How long do you wait until the result? Okay, here's, so, yeah, that was a trick answer. So the ripening, the corresponding result, and the environment for each of the 10. This comes from the Lamrim. These are the correlations. So I'm just going to let you take a picture of this. If you are doing any of the top 10, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, divisive talk, etc., your ripening will be that of a lower rebirth in a future life, assuming that's the karma that projects your future life. You'll get a habit for it, and you'll be attracted to the same thing over and over. That makes sense? Yeah. The corresponding result, if you were lucky enough to be born a human, or if at some time you were born a human in this system, and you still have these karmas in you, then killing life would give you the corresponding result of being sick, being, or dying early, stealing, lack of resources. These are pretty clear and self-explanatory. I'm going to ask you to take a picture. Yeah.
Hector, mind-altering substances aren't on here. Why is that?
It's not in the top 10.
Yeah, that's in just the refuge vows.
It's the limit.
Yeah.
And this is the top 10 what?
The non-virtuous.
The free. These are the top 10 good deeds and bad deeds, the top 10 seeds.
These are the wholesome actions that they come from the Sutra of Wholesome Actions given at the Dragon King Palace.
Okay. I didn't know.
It's in the
That's like season 6 of Game of Thrones.
What's in the original teachings of the original book.
Great. You got it? And then I'm going to finish with what? I'll put them up on the ACI page in Facebook. Yeah. Tonight, at some point. So then, how is karma carried according to the mind-only school? See if you remember this. And this is just an idea of a bakchaks in your kunchi. So you have this thing called an object. We all believe objects are out there. The screaming boss. Yeah? Yeah, screaming boss. You catch it through your physical senses, your eye, your ear, your nose. You hear their yelling. You see their red face. You feel the warmth coming from their face. Yeah? So your eye faculty, the physical part, catches it, right? And then your mind, your mental faculty, notice how I'm putting the brain in your physical, where it delivers the content to your mind. Yeah, your mind is not your brain. The consciousness of sight perceives the red face, oval, yeah, and then adds a charge to that, which comes from, according to this system, your karma, right? Because yelling round oval face does not have a nature from its own side to make you upset. If it did, the worker that sits next to you who hates you and is loving the boss yelling at you would also feel upset, but they don't. They are enjoying it. The same sounds, the same red face, the same words, okay? So here is the yelling face. Your eye faculty and your physical stuff catches it, and your consciousness puts them together, right? Different mind, similar consciousnesses for the person that hates you. In the room, they're enjoying the same content. This is empty of having a nature. Does that make sense so far? Yeah. Cool. So according to the mind-only school, they created a separate consciousness to explain where all these mental seeds that project onto the yelling boss and the eye faculty come from. And that's called the Alala Vijnana, or the eighth consciousness. Yeah. We're calling it the Kunchi. And this is where your bhakchas sit. All the positive, negative, sorry, this is not mathematically correct. Negative, positive, and neutral states, karmas that you planted, sit somewhere in your consciousness. This is according to the mind-only school. Yeah. And this Alala Vijnana, this consciousness, foundation consciousness, the storehouse consciousness, is holding them. And when the time is right, from one bhakchak, from one mental arising, this one is popping up into an experience, and that experience projects the idea of an eye faculty and projects an idea from the same karma, projects the idea of that feeling sensation in your mind, according to this school. That's how karma works in this system. It's a little heady, I know, but it's saying from one instance where I yelled at others in the past, something in my mind begins to ripen and grabs what my eye has seen and what my mind is doing. And according to this school, what my eye has seen is also a projection of my mind. That's why it's called mind only. And not everybody believes that, okay? But it's functional enough for us to get the idea that from one seed comes the experience, the physical stuff, and the experience. Do you see that? Yeah? So that's one theory of how karma would ripen, because we know it didn't come from the object, because all others in front of that object are not having the same experience. Now, call it kunchi, call it bhakcha, call it, doesn't matter what you call it. You've got to realize that in your mind there is an arising in relation to what you perceive to be out there, and that charge is yours. And it was put there by you in the past. And then you've got to play with that. You've got to struggle with that. You've got to see if it fits reality better than the reality we're living, which is, I'm enjoying my life at work until the yelling boss. How do I stop a yelling boss? Lie behind his back, yell at them, etc. And then I get more yelling people, more people behind my back. Okay, how do I get that? The problem with karma is exactly what you said, which is the time delay. When we plant karmas, you are not going to get the result immediately. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't get an instant apple tree. It takes time. But if an apple drops from an apple tree around the time you planted an apple seed, you got lucky. And then an orange fell and you thought it came from planting apple trees. And that's how we live this world. We think, oh, I just planted an apple tree. Look, a banana fell. Banana must be caused by apple. I'm going to plant more apples. I didn't get bananas. Oh, when I did it again, an orange fell. Okay, orange, because you don't have the time delay in our awareness. You expand that, then with logic, you can say cause and effect. Like produces like. That's true in our physical world. Why wouldn't it be true in our mind? With that, no more questions. Let's say, I said got to. Let's dedicate any insight we've given to the fact that we want our understanding to grow so we could help as many beings as possible.
다시
불기운 주신 메토드람 위라는 시은인데 육파디 성계 신등 대우와리 주업은 남다 신라 주발쇼 이람 부라타야니
개와
리교금 순암 예셰 속소신 순암 예셰 내중외 람파쿠니 토파쇼. Thank you so much for taking class. Sorry I didn't answer all your questions.
Thank you for teaching.
No, my pleasure.
Please.
Please come next week for the final class in this room. I know it's warm in here, it's freezing out there. It's good that you're in here and not